Hi, my love. Welcome to my channel. If this video found you, trust that it found you for a reason. There's a message here, something that I might say that is guidance for you, wisdom for you. There's something here for you. And I always make the intention that any of my recordings, videos, finds the right people. It finds the people that need it the most, that need the wisdom, that need the guidance, that need the best friend, just like I've needed many times throughout my life through many different experiences. And I think my biggest intention with this YouTube channel is to give wisdom through my life and sharing my life experiences and with you, and to be that best friend that I always needed and that I did not have. I had to become my own best friend through many dark moments in my life. But that really strengthened me and it made me who I am today. So, you know, it was part of my journey. And now I can share the wisdom and everything I've learned along the way with you and for whoever needs it. I guess this channel is going to be for someone like me who's been on a similar journey. And in a way, these messages are going to be for someone maybe like a younger version of me who didn't know any better and who needed that wisdom, that guidance. And yeah, so this is going to be about relationships and about toxic, uh, narcissistic, and empathic trauma bonding. I'm going to share a story about something that I experienced and how that was the beginning of my awakening and my healing journey. So, if this in a way resonates with you, or you want to hear what I have to say for whatever reason, then stay tuned. Okay, so story time. About a couple years, I'm not going to give too many intimate details just for privacy reasons. But a couple years ago, I dated this guy who there was a very strong soul connection with. And knowing now what I know, like even if you have a lot of knowledge in astrology, you can kind of pinpoint when you've known someone in a past life and there's karma between you two, which there was with me and this particular person that I'm speaking about. So the connection when we met was very intense, and because of that, it was explosive. It was romantic. It was passionate. You know, he romanced me. It didn't feel like that with anyone else before. He was very masculine as well. So that was such a turn on for me because I'm a very feminine woman. So he took action. He was consistent. He messaged me a lot. Um, and this was, I don't want to give too many intimate details here again. So I'll just continue to say that we continue speaking over the phone for quite a few months. And down the line, he did expose certain truths to me that he was emotionally unavailable and that he was not looking for commitment and that he did want to be with multiple people and have the freedom to be with multiple women. And tell me why I was okay with that. I have no idea. Like, I wish I could go back and slap myself, but you know, again, it was part of the journey. It was all on purpose. I was meant to go on this journey. Um, Nothing is a mistake. As painful and confronting as that is, and trust me, like I've had to really look in the mirror and be like, well, my soul chose this. There was a soul contract. You know, I agreed to this. There's a lesson here, especially someone that you've had a sexual intimate relationship with that's very, very strong, and you were maybe dating for a while. Sometimes years, of course, that was part of your journey, and I had to forgive myself, after this experience because it was a painful one. So back to the story, like I knew he didn't want commitment and I did. Well, I thought I did, but obviously I was emotionally unavailable or else I would have never attracted this man into my life. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole attracting thing in this video because it might be too long if I do that. But I do believe that we don't always attract our match frequency, you know? I don't actually believe that. I believe that you can have such a high vibration, bright lights, and you will attract all sorts of people, good people, bad people, all of it, toxic, dark, because you have such a bright light. You're not always going to attract the good ones. But again, if you look at it in higher perspective, they all are coming to teach you something. So anyway, I do feel that I was emotionally unavailable for, various reasons. When me and him were deep into the connection, I remember there was times where we were close to maybe telling each other that we had deep feelings for each other. And I remember it started to make me feel uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable to think he could tell me he loves me, or it made him uncomfortable to think I could tell him I love him. I realized me and him were trauma bonding, right? And we were in a similar vibration. But again, I was extremely empathic, where he was more on the narcissistic side. Now, I don't want to say that this guy was a deep, full blown narcissist, because even that is a different, separate conversation that I could get into, because I do believe that there are certain levels to narcissism. Some of us, we all have a little bit of it. And some of us just have some characteristics that are quite narcissistic, but we're not a full blown narcissist. I do think he has some characteristics, but I wouldn't call him a proper narcissist. Um, so he was more on that spectrum, okay? And and when I think back at that connection, it's like I was giving too much. I was abandoning myself. I was giving all my energy and attention to this guy. I wasn't even focusing on my dreams or my purpose, my creativity, my designs. It was just all him. When I think back at that time, I cringe. I cringe. I'm like, oh my God, Mayra, what were you doing? What were you doing? And during this time I was in London, and I had the most spectacular apartments, with the most incredible city views of London. I don't know if I'm going to be able to include a picture on this video, but I'll try to. And so I was living the life, okay? I was pretty well financially. I could treat myself. And I've always been that woman. I always been that kind of woman who treats herself like a goddess. I treat myself well. I buy nice clothes. I take care of my body. I eat really good food. But you have to be discerning, not just with those things, but also men, okay? Like, who you're sleeping with, you need to be very discerning about. I obviously was not very discerning in that point because, again, the connection was so, like, passionate and intense that I'm forgetting this English word right now. Maybe it'll come to me, but it's hard to say no to these connections. And again, it's all the part of the plan. So don't judge yourself. Don't be hard on yourself if you've been in a connection or you're currently in one right now. But maybe this message or this video is going to be a sign for you. So, so yeah, like I just, I thought, like, I think back to myself and I'm like, gosh, I was taking such good care of myself. I don't need a toxic guy, you know, uh MF in my life. Like, I was already treating myself well and lived in a beautiful apartment in London. I could have just enjoyed myself and didn't need him, you know? But of course, we all crave that intimacy, that romance. And there were moments that he was giving me that. It's like they give you sometimes crumbs so that you don't, like, realize how bad it is. and completely leave them or stop talking to them or be like, bye, loser. Because he was really good at doing that. He was really good at just giving me enough so that I would continue dating him and continue being in this connection with him, because he was receiving a lot from me. Not only was he, experiencing my beauty, my youth, my body, my feminine essence, my goddess codes, because, we were having a sexual relationship, right? And be very aware of who is entering your womb space, because it's very sacred, because it's very powerful. Um, Without getting into that in this video, again, I have a lot of information to share, which I will do in next videos. He was receiving a lot from me. He was living in the most beautiful apartment in London for free because he wasn't paying rent. He wasn't giving me half, nothing. Okay. I was mostly buying groceries. He would sometimes buy them, but not all the time. He would sometimes take me out for dinner, but there were times where we would go 50-50. Can you believe that? Why was I tolerating that? Like, why? What was he giving me? Nothing except taking, taking. And I do believe that karma comes to those who just take. So, this is something I become very aware of in my own self. Never be someone who just takes, 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 and never gives, because that's bad karma and it does come back to you and it does reach you. So I do believe that even though I don't wish this guy harm, I wish him all the best. He was, again, part of my journey. He was setting himself up for some bad karma because he was taking so much from me and I allowed it. So I'm not a victim here. I do not believe in playing that victim, consciousness or whatever. Again, I do believe that we all have spiritual contracts, soul contracts with people, and we do choose these lessons, even the really difficult ones. Okay. And this was a painful one because I was giving so much emotionally. I thought I could change him. I thought he would choose me. I thought he would make me his girlfriend. And that is such a big red flag and such a mistake. You can't change anyone. You can't make someone want something that they are saying they don't want. You can't manipulate anyone, and in a way that was very manipulative of me because I said yes to a connection that was non-committal, and knowing very well what he was like and what he was stating he wanted. And I was like, oh yeah, 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 even though deep down inside I was like, oh, I can change his mind. I can make him want me as his girlfriend. I can make him fall in love with me. Honey, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Don't do that to yourself. You know, that's only going to lead to heartbreak, which it led me to deep, deep heartbreak. Okay. We were in a connection for a solid year. And thank God it only lasted a year, but that, was 1 year of my life that I gave to him, to this connection. Um, and, but again, there are people who sometimes are with these kinds of guys for many years. And for everyone's going to be very different. How long is it going to take you to wake up? How long is it going to take you to break you open, to see your wounds and discover it? You know, um, it got really bad at one point that he would shut me up in my own apartment. Like he became verbally and emotionally abusive, where I started to feel like I wasn't even worthy. Like I didn't deserve any better, I guess, because like what in my right mind, like how could I accept such abuse or be with someone? Like I must have not loved myself. And that was a huge lesson in self-love for me, because like when you love yourself and respect yourself, you don't tolerate that. You don't tolerate a man who is living in your apartment and is verbally and emotionally abusive. He was literally like, okay, go to the kitchen, cook, shut up, don't talk to me because I'm over here on the computer doing my work, and I want you to not bother me. It's my apartment he's in. What kind of connection was this even? How was this benefiting? It wasn't mutual, it wasn't reciprocal. That is the biggest disrespect. That should have just been an automatic get out. We're done. I don't need this. I love myself. I don't need you. You're not for me. But I didn't do that. So I remember crying in my room because this guy was horrible to me. He would be in the living room, I'd be in my bedroom, or sometimes I couldn't even be in my own kitchen having a nice coffee, having a nice conversation because he was on his computer doing his work and I couldn't disturb him. I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't, and there was times where I even look at myself and I think to myself, when you're in this energy yourself as a woman, and you're like, oh my God, pay attention to me, give to me, entertain me, talk to me, it's very unattractive. And I was doing that. But again, these toxic tendencies were playing out between me and him because of the trauma bonding. Because I was not like this with my previous partner, for example, because me and my previous partner didn't have that kind of trauma playing out. So different, you're going to maybe act different with different people because, again, of the traumas that you both share and the triggers that you both are going to be playing out to heal wounds that you have. It's going to be different with every relationship, every partner. But with me and this guy, I was seeing where I was abandoning myself, didn't love myself, didn't respect myself, and was people pleasing. Because holy shit, I was being quiet. I was silencing my voice. You bet your ass that I had to do a lot of throat chakra healing and wound healing, of course, after this connection, because he was silencing me and I was obeying. Like, who knows? Maybe this guy that I was dating was one of the witch hunters in my past life, you know? His moon and my south node were in conjunction. So there was definitely some past life shit playing out with this connection, 100%. Maybe even a mother wound that I was experiencing and dealing with. And actually, I noticed that the way that my mom would act with me was how I was acting with him. It was kind of weird because I have this wounding with my mother where sometimes she's too codependent or she's, you know, what's the word? I can't even think of the word right now. There's this neediness that I sometimes play out, this, connection that plays out between me and my mother. So I did notice that. And again, because our conjunction is with my south node and his moon, the moon is, is the mother, is ruled by Cancer, then, and my Chiron is actually in Cancer. Uh, it makes sense. It makes sense. And if you analyze maybe certain connections, you'll probably start picking up the pieces and you'll start seeing the signs and you will see why maybe that happened with that person. It's wild. But again, the connection became so dark in the end and it was so abusive in the end that I was miserable. I had no glow in my face. I lacked all happiness, all the joyful, bubbly, juicy energy that I normally have was just gone. And I remember even having a dinner with him and his friends, and I couldn't take it anymore. I had way too much wine. I'm not a big drinker, and so that was unusual for me. And I just started to cry and started to vent of basically the emotional abuse that he was doing. And of course, he didn't like it because narcissists don't like when you tell on them, because most people don't even realize who they are. They're so charming. You don't they don't their friends don't even know really. So yeah, I remember that happened. But um to make the story a little bit, short and not too long for this one, by the time that I was getting ready to leave London, gosh, I remember our farewell. I remember even in the end, he started talking about other women and always talking about how other women were so attractive or so much better than me, to make me feel shit, to make me feel bad, to lower and demean myself. And and I can't remember if it was really working, but it making me feel less than, but I think in a way it did, because I remember that I'm not a typical jealous, obsessive, um I- not even obsessive is the wrong word, um but just insecure, jealous kind of woman. I don't know. I'm very secure in myself. So when he started to make me feel insecure because he kept talking about how amazing other women were, or maybe would look at a girl while we were together, or he started to criticize me in front of my friends. He literally did this. I was meeting one of my friends at the market in Spitalfields, and he literally said some rude comment about me to her. And I remember she looked at him like, whoa, how did you just disrespect her like that in front of me? And I was so stupid that I noticed what he had done, but I still didn't. It was like, Mayra, it didn't hurt enough for me to still kick him out and be like, bye, bye. For some reason, the universe wanted me to be ready to get to the airport and fly back to Chicago in order for this relationship to fully die and end. It was so bad. Like, it really was so bad. I think back and I'm like, how could I have possibly tolerated that? So when I remember I was in the taxi that was taking me to the airport, the man who was driving was like an earthly angel. He literally started talking about, he saw my eyes and my face and he could see deep sadness. And he said some very comforting, loving words to me. And I started to cry. And that was the beginning of me releasing this man from my energy fields, from my heart. Those tears were purifying for me. And I think I cried on the entire flight. What was that? 7 hours, 8, 9 hours from London to Chicago. And by the time I got home, is when I started to open my eyes to the abuse that I had just lived and encountered, because I didn't realize what was even happening when I was in thick of it. And mind you, I was attracting a lot of attractive men when I would walk around London and go to the park or go to the markets or go shopping or whatever I was doing by myself. And I rejected so many of them because I was dating this guy who didn't even deserve me, who didn't even deserve my time or energy, my love. And mind you, I was treating him like a king. I was doing his laundry. I was ironing for him. I was making dinner for him. Like, I had, again, a beautiful apartment that he was living very comfortably in with me. I was just giving, 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 all on a golden platter. Of course, he didn't appreciate or value me. I was giving all these things, without any commitment, without him even showing that he's worthy of me. It's wild. It's wild. I'm not even going to get into that topic because even that is a different topic in a different video. So, this was the beginning of my spiritual, one of my, because I've been through many spiritual awakenings, but this was a deep one. I will never forget 2021, the beginning of 2021. We were not together anymore. So, this thing that I'm talking about situation happened from January to December. So, once the next January of 2021 happened, I went on a deep healing journey. That's when I started to awaken to my abilities, to my psychic gifts, to the fact that I'm a seer, to my priestess abilities, even from past lives. I've always known about these things. I always knew about, for example, tarot reading and herbs and healing and all these witchy things and astrology, but I never dived deep into it until I experienced such heartbreak, such insane, intense pain. So this was just the beginning. Literally, all my gifts and abilities started to open up like never before because of this insane pain. So, this relationship connection was a huge catalyst for me. It really opened up so many things in me that I had not seen before, you know. And it's when I started to know more about the connection between empaths and narcissists and how that even happens and why it happens and how, I have attracted narcissistic men in my life and why have I attracted these men in my life? Because you always got to ask yourself, why is this person in my life? What is this teaching me? What is it in me that is allowing this person in my life? Because you allow it. They can't come into your life if you don't allow it. So that's why I don't play out the whole victim mentality here, you know? Yeah, we could be unaware of what's happening, but we still give them the green light. And there's always going to be red flags. And we're obviously blind to them. We're like, nope, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. It's like I didn't want to see it. But again, I learned, and yeah, and I think I'm going to be sharing a lot more about this journey, what happened in 2021, the next connections I've had after that, and just different lessons and different wisdom here on the channel. So anyway, if you want to hear more and something resonated with you in this video message, comment below, share, subscribe, and a la próxima.